Lesson 7. Birthing the Mind of Christ. Forever I am with you. Forever I am with you. For long before the stars were birthed, long before the planets arose, long before even a thought of physicality had emerged within the divine mind of the Son of God, we were already created together and equally. Yet that creation of what alone is real knows no point of birth. Therefore, because the Father is forever, so too have we abided together and been sustained together in love. Throughout all time and even unto eternity do we abide together in the reality of who we are. Therefore, think it not extraordinary when I say unto you, I am with you always, even unto the end of this age. What journey have you ever taken that is not familiar to me? What journey have I ever taken that is, in truth, not familiar to you? For when you look upon me from some deep place of knowingness within, though the words may be different, you say within yourself, Behold, Christ appears before me. When you hold a thought of me in the mind and the body is flooded with emotion, soft and gentle and light, and you recognize that the Holy Son of God was birthed and perfected in your friend, Jeshua ben Joseph, what is it within you that knows that this is the truth? What part of the mind, what capacity within your heart can look upon me and recognize the truth within me so that you love me? For I say well unto you, it is the same as that part of my mind, that part of my heart that looks upon you and says, Behold, the Holy Child of God is before me, and I love this one. That which knows, that which comprehends immediately, is the mind of Christ. It recognizes itself in each and every one. That mind of Christ dwells within you in its fullness now. Therefore, as I have said unto you many times, never fail to remember that it takes one to know one. If you would look upon me and say, Beloved friend, thank you. Look well upon yourself and say, Beloved friend, thank you. Allow the breath to flow. How many journeys have there been? How many moments of experience passed under the bridge of your beingness before you first began to reawaken to the truth that is true always? How many lifetimes, how many worlds before a light began to dawn, so imperceptibly at first that it was not recognized? And a tiny voice whispered from a place that seemed so far removed from where you dwelt, Beloved son, you are with me now. You remain as I have created you to be. Therefore, be at peace. You are loved. The voice seemed so far away, so faint, that surely it could not be your own. Surely it was just a moment's fantasy. In the midst of some journey, you paused. And as a raindrop fell upon a leaf and your eyes looked upon that experience, you felt and knew that you were one with the leaf and the raindrop, and that indeed you were those things. How many moments of experience passed by before these kinds of qualities began to emerge in your consciousness as what seemed at first to be tiny mad ideas? Thoughts such as, My God, I just felt myself to be one with all of creation. Well, better not tell anyone about that, and off you went. But the moments began to come more often, still perhaps fleetingly, and yet now more familiar, a sense underneath all of the drama, all of the crying, all of the lamenting, all of the resenting, all of the fearing, all of the striving, and all of the seeking. The still, tiny voice would come and say, Beloved Son, you remain as I have created you to be. You are loved. You are wholly loving and wholly lovable forever. The tiny voice would still steal through the roar and the din that had seemed to make a home within your mind. Rest assured, you would not be where you appear to be in this moment if you had not already begun to experience many moments that express the quality that I have just described to you, of truly hearing the still, small voice of the Comforter within. Therefore, indeed, each of you knows that there is a longing within you that cannot and will not any longer be denied. You know from the Christ within you that Christ has stirred within you and is rising up to take up its rightful place as the master of your mind and your heart, your body and your breath, and your dreams and your passions. Each of you knows that it is absolutely futile to attempt to settle for anything less. It does not come because of anything I have ever done for you. It comes because it must come. It must arise within each created mind, regardless of its journeys, regardless of its attempts to deny what is eternally true. That is called the illusion of the dream of separation. It must come, and it is inevitable because Christ will not be denied. Christ cannot be denied because only Christ can express what is absolutely true. Only Christ can so inform the cellular structure of the body that even the simplest of gestures extends love unto another who beholds it. Only Christ knows how to breathe the breath that releases all trauma, all hurt. Only Christ understands the power of true forgiveness, which is always, by the way, forgiveness of oneself, since no one has wronged you at any time. Only Christ can bring a smile to the lips of a body, such that when another looks upon you and sees that smile, their heart is filled. Only Christ can walk in this world, yet not be of the world. And only Christ can transcend every limited and fearful creation, transforming them into the beautiful flower that blossoms and gives its sweet fragrance to all of creation. Is it not that which you long to feel moving through your being? Is not that call to awaken alive within you? Oh, beloved friends, you know that it is. Love you, therefore, one another. And love you, therefore, the self that has been given unto you of the Father. Learn to hear only that voice. Learn to desire only that voice. Learn to follow only that voice that knows the truth is true always. I and my heavenly Father are one. This world is but a passing shimmer and a dream. It holds no value save that which Christ can bring to it. Only love is real. Anything else is the choice to momentarily believe in illusion. Rest assured, illusion within an illusory world can seem to hold great power, but all power has been given unto you. All power under heaven and earth is given unto the Holy Child of God, and that power dwells within you as the life of your life, the breath of your breath, the truth of your truth, the being of your being, and the joy of your joy. There has never been an illusory creation that has ever, in truth, threatened it, nor can any illusion take reality from you. The only thing that can occur is that you use that power to believe in loss. All forms of loss that you perceive through the physical eyes or through the worldly mind are nothing more than passing shades of your insistence on believing that loss is possible. All forms of the contraction known as fear are nothing more than temporary modifications of the very power given unto you, a power that you have sought to use to see if it were possible to convince yourself that something besides love is real. But the story is over. The dream of separation is ending. The whole of creation is now experiencing a growing power, a movement, and a momentum that must carry the mind, from which creation springs, to a new level. It is not so much an evolutionary level as a level of recognition, a level of remembrance, a level of returning. That wave of momentum is alive and has already risen within your heart and mind. You know it. Stop denying it. Stop questioning it. Stop looking for signs from the world around you that it is all right to feel it. Accept it as a divine gift from your Creator, for the call has gone out. Though many listen, few hear, and fewer still become wholly devoted to responding. Therefore, let your prayer be always, may Christ alone dwell within, and as this creation that I once thought was myself. May Christ alone inform each thought and each breath and each choice. May love direct each step. May love transform this journey through time, that in time I might truly know the reality of eternity, the sanctity of peace, the holiness of intimacy, and the joy of the Father's love, prior to every breath, and indeed, even prior to every thought that arises within the mind. For when you know that you are holiness itself, how could you ever look upon your brother or sister and believe that they have wronged you? How could you ever want to do anything but love them? That is, let the love of Christ flow through you so deeply and so profoundly that they get that you do not believe their illusion. When you give unto another that which alone is true, because all minds are joined, you have offered unto them the only gift that holds value. When you give another the truth, perhaps even without saying a word, because all minds are joined, they recognize what has been offered and say to themselves, the one before me knows the truth of me and is looking right through every one of my attempts to be less than who I am. Therefore, I see that it's safe to choose again. That is when miracles occur. Do not strive to heal this world. Do not do anything to make a show of how much you love another. Give up the concept of being a busy bee. Simply be the presence of love, because you know that there is absolutely no value in being anything else. And that, in truth, you have never succeeded at being anything but the presence of love. Each sane moment that you have experienced, each moment of unlimitedness, each moment of genuine intimacy, each moment of grace-filled joy that you have ever known, in whatever form it seems to appear, has come because you have allowed your mind to slip into the sea of peace. There you have merely abided, empty, wanting nothing, seeking nothing, being merely the presence of what you are. When that quality becomes cultivated so that it permeates your consciousness with each breath and with each moment, you will know that Christ has indeed arisen this day, and you will celebrate Easter with each breath. The shadow of fear. What then could ever possibly arise to obstruct the truth that is true always? There is an ancient forest on your planet, a forest so high in a rugged mountain valley and so rugged that no one has ever been there. Unknown to the minds of humanity, life goes on in the forest. Deep within the heart of this forest, this morning, a little tiny blade of grass seemed to be tossed by an unseen wind. As it was tossed for just a fragment of a moment, so subtle and soft was this wind that as the sunlight played against this blade of grass, It cast the smallest of conceivable shadows on a stone just a little bit away from the blade of grass. No one noticed. The shadow had no effect. The rock did not even notice. No one on the planet noticed. No one in any of the heavens noticed except me. I needed something to build a story around. That tiny shadow, cast by a little blade of grass momentarily wiggling in a wind in some remote forest, has virtually no effect on the turning of the planets, the creation of new suns, and certainly not one trace of effect on how deeply the Father loves you. That little shadow is what you have given power to. It seems to be able to obstruct the truth within you from being lived. For the moment, you gave that little tiny shadow power. In that very moment, fear was born. Fear is always a contraction away from love, and fear makes you smaller than the blade of grass that momentarily seems to cast a shadow, and therefore obstructs your recognition of the warmth of the sun that bathes you always. When you resist healing, when you struggle to learn to speak your truth, you may rest assured that something has occurred just prior to that. What is it? It is your decision to believe that the shadow is all-powerful, and that if you heal, if you grow, if you change, if you let Christ live in you, that the little blade of grass and the little tiny shadow it creates for a very temporary moment will come and punish you and crush you. If you can truly take this story into your being and recognize the utter laughability of such a belief, you will never again fear fear. You will never again allow fear to master you and direct the course of your life. You will learn what it means to trust what is birthed in the heart. And you will arise and you will go forth without fear, with no story at all. You will accomplish whatever creativity wishes to express through you. And the whole while you will know that of yourself you do nothing, but the Father through you can do anything. Therefore, what forms of the shadow of that blade of grass are you allowing to run and own and possess your soul? There are many forms of that shadow, are there not? There are peers and parents and siblings to please. There are governments to bow down before. There are mates and children that must come first. There are bills to pay. There are desires to check and keep in order. There are activities and statements and behaviors done by others that require at least 7 or 8 hours a day for you to analyze and judge them to death. And you think, my, this world is exhausting, but somebody has to do it. And you thought it was love that makes the world go around? Trust me, love does not spin and get nowhere. Love created you. Love birthed within you as an individual, at least within the dance of time and space, the power to choose, the power to feel, the power to channel light and love, the power to know that something exists within and as you. That is what love has done. Has fear ever created anything remotely like that? So what do you want? Creation or mimicry? Peace or the ability to simply drug yourself with triviality? Imagine all power under heaven and earth flowing through you with every breath so that your consciousness witnesses not what you do as the maker or doer, but that which the divine is doing through you in each moment. And you get to marvel at the creativity of love, the very same love that moves the sun and the moon and the stars. Now that is a delightful pastime. By the way, you have called the body your body, as if you have some right to possess it. Give the body to God. God knows how to use it. You do not. When your life is given to being only the presence of love for no other reason than that you want it to be, you will know, because you will be, the truth that sets all things free. The whole of creation is waiting to move through me, and I want to be aware of it. I want my experience, my lived consciousness, to be blissfully absorbed in observing the flow of love through me. And if there are any cobwebs in the way of that, you will sweep them out of the way. When you are in that quality of being, heaven and earth will move to become your servant, and not until then. After all, send a conflicted message, and nobody shows up for the dance. So now you know what the shadow is. Perhaps sometimes you enjoy dancing with it, but here is the great question. Are you going to let the shadow lead, or are you going to lead? Birthing the Christ mind. When your life becomes liberated in that, I am not speaking of perfection as you would know it. When your life becomes that motivation, that attitude, that declaration, and that devotion, then perfection will be witnessed through you. For the true meaning of perfection is miracle-mindedness, where that which saves time occurs. When your life becomes that, when you no longer have any conflicted commitment in your beingness, you will know exactly what the result of my life was for me, because you will be that. Yes, I know that you are worrying. Does that mean that when I get really close, I'm going to have to go through my final initiation of crucifixion? And if I have to do it, will you promise that they at least sterilize the nails? Could I choose the day or the hour? I don't like to get up too early. You already know what crucifixion is all about. You have done it to yourself 1,000,000 times in ways far worse than a mere nail driven through the hand that creates a little twinge of pain. Hell is nothing more than the state of being rutted or stuck in the process of crucifying oneself, which is the attempt to murder and destroy what God has created out of love. Stop wasting your energy trying to love God. That will not do it for you. Stop wasting so much energy trying to learn how to love another. That will not do it for you. And for God's sake, please refrain from all attempts to get anyone to believe that you love them. Put the whole of your attention on giving up the patterns of belief from which you have attempted to crucify the self that God made and placed within you as your very awareness of your existence. Learn to love that self beyond all created things. Learn to nurture that self. Learn to cultivate within that self only that which speaks of joy and truth, so that your words and your actions and your very presence always uplift another. So that when another walks into the room in which you are sitting or standing or moving, they feel like a breath of fresh air just hit them, even if you have not lifted a finger. As long as there is a trace of energy within you in which you are striving to get from any perceived thing or object around you what you are sure you lack inside yourself, you cannot know the love of self, and you cannot experience freedom. Happiness is an inside job. Then what happens? You finally get it right and you decide, all right, what's that little shadow been doing? Well, let's take care of that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. How many blades of grass and how many shadows are there within this being that seem to be overlaid upon the self? Does it matter? You are busy birthing Christ. What happens when that really occurs? First, and listen well, nothing will be unacceptable to you. Yet the mind still resists. Well, but does that mean if somebody is not a vegetarian that they're still loved? Does that mean if somebody votes for someone I am sure is the wrong guy that they're not insane, that I can love them? Does that mean that someone who seeks power and therefore creates a war and kills 5,000 women and children, that I can still look upon them and not have my love be disturbed? Does it mean that whatever arises within this temporary world is really, truly, literally not a problem for me any longer? That nothing is unacceptable? Yes. It does not mean you condone it. It means it is no longer unacceptable. For what you cannot accept, you will judge. And every judgment is the attempt to murder what you have decided has no right to be. Judgment is the opposite of forgiveness. It lives on the side of the fence with fear. Forgiveness lives on the side of the fence with love, and only love can heal this world. Imagine then living in a state of being in which literally nothing was unacceptable to you because you knew that the source of your true being was far beyond the limitations of anything created in space and time. That not even death, which has been created out of the contraction known as fear, is unacceptable. I say unto you, if you will choose to trust me, I will show you the way to peace. I will wait for your reply, as I can do nothing to take from you the freedom required to become wholly committed to allowing Christ to be birthed where once a useless illusion reigned. I will show you how to become the being out of which all of creation is arising, so that you will know the truth that sets you free. Now this will raise up within you the most fundamental of fears possible. What is that? It is the last to be overcome, the fear of death. For when you are confronted by the truth, you know that everything you have sought to create as a substitute for the truth must die. That is why it is said, the last to be overcome shall be death. Fear of death. Death is allowed that Christ might live. Understand well, there is no one, and there shall not at any time be anyone who reads these words to whom I have not given this promise unto. I will show you the way to the truth that is true always and sets you free. But only you can make the decision to bring the whole of your being to that journey. And all it requires is what you call a smidgen of willingness. A smidgen of willingness is all it takes. I know the way home because I have completed the journey, and I will show you the way. With every word that I utter, my one intent is to reveal to you the place within you that is the presence of love that you seek. What if you chose to actually commit yourself to considering what I am sharing, and return to the innocence of a child as you contemplated what it would mean in your life? Rest assured, when the journey to the kingdom is completed, the journey within it begins anew. The bliss, the wisdom, the creativity, the laughter, the friendships, the family, the joy, the serenity, and the peace that have been, for the most part, seen as an impossible dream will become your most ordinary state of being. Yet none of it can occur through any power that can move through me. I can guide you. I can show you the way, and I can walk beside you on the way that you have chosen. At times I can give you my strength until yours is as certain as mine by carrying you. But ultimately, you must demand that I put you down so that your feet touch the soil of the kingdom of heaven, and you walk under your strength, under your certainty, beside me. You will indeed find in that day and hour that as often as you ask of it of me, I will ask you, how do you think we could do this? What would you like to create with me? And then, indeed, we are as brother and sister, sister and brother, friends, dancing and playing in the kingdom prepared for us of our Father. One little shadow cast by a tiny blade of grass is all that seems to prevent you from coming wholly to where I am. If you tarry yet a little longer, it is all right. You cannot prevent me from knowing the truth about you and loving you. When you are in love, when you are so immersed in simply loving, is it not true that you have no sense of time at all? There is no sense of any effect disturbing your peace. You are just swaying to the music. You are loving, and your wholeness grows even more holy. Therefore, love one another as I have loved you. For the Father has first loved me, that I might show you the truth of what love is and the reality of your being. I will not cease in doing this, regardless of how long you choose to tarry. For love is, indeed, patient and kind. Love is not deluded, and love does not allow delusion. Love embraces all things, trusts all things, and allows all things. It knows perfectly well where it is going, and never ceases in that journey until every blade of grass is released from casting shadows, and the whole of creation is returned to the heart of God. Learn to love yourself and cry out to this world, I and my Father are one. That is the soil from which I move and live and have my being. So be it. Always remember that the Father looked upon his only creation and said, Behold, it is very good. That goodness has a name, and it is yours. And behold, it is very good. That light deserves to shine. The doorway stands before you. Will you open it through the power of your choice? For what you experience will reveal to you what choice you have made this day. Beloved and holy friends, may peace be with you always, and may the truth that is true always shine within your hearts and minds throughout all ages. Remember, there's a perfectly good reason why I keep saying time and again, I am with you always. Amen.